we have Anirban right over here. Hi Anirban, how are you doing? And also my co-founder Ratan.
Okay, hello, welcome
Hi
everyone.
Ratan. Hi. I don't
Okay,
need to
first of all, I guess like you should talk about Flutter and what is Flutter.
Flutter is actually a dating app which we conceptualized over here for markets which were not English speaking. So, dating apps, when you come to India, they're mainly very saturated to the very niche and tier A grade English market. Okay, and they are mainly Western photocopies of apps which are successful in the West. But then when you come to India, even a company like McDonald's has to launch something called Maharaja Mac because well, Big Mac won't sell here. People don't understand it until unless they can relate to it. So the biggest problem we faced as entrepreneurs starting out to make a dating app was the fact that English was a huge barrier for many people coming from towns which are small and not mega cities we have. So we wanted to make an app which was more accessible to the masses rather than just city dwellers. So that was the logic behind Flutter. Along with that, there are many other features. So I would request everybody to download Flutter and try it for themselves. There's no point about me going long on and on about it, but definitely do give it a shot and let me know.
Okay, crazily, I got to find like something crazy. So basically, OnlyFans also has something related to you. That's like the story of you and your dad finding Flutter together. So that's something like the case with the OnlyFans founders as well. Like it was a duo of father and son. So like I just wanna like know how, because I've seen a lot of brother entrepreneurs. I've seen brother sister duos. I've seen freaking mother son duos. A lot of duos have been there in entrepreneurship that we look up to, and like, but we rarely see this father son duo. Like actually, either it's a family business where the son came in and now they're doing something.
Right.
It has never been where like it has been started off from scratch.
Right.
So like how has been your experience building with your family and like especially your dad?
And that's to a tech startup because generally boomers are known to be not that friendly with tech.
Okay, we're not gonna call
So
any boomer.
so we are not gonna get there, KB, but we are not gonna get there. But yeah, how has it been? Because it's not very perceived, and a lot of people might be thinking. So how has that been for you?
Right. So, first of all, I'm very happy that there are a lot of other cool dads on this planet who also allow their kids to make OnlyFans. Now, coming to at least being a brown kid and trying to do this was definitely a hindrance because in my household, however progressive it may be, there is always this one aspect where if you come up with an idea like dating app in a country like India right now, it's very difficult to convince somebody coming from a very orthodox and very conventional background about it. But my father, I would say, was much more open to this because he looked at the idea as a business idea and not some kind of in Hindi जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं अश्लीलता. So he didn't think of it that way. He didn't think it's vulgar. So he thought of it as a business, and obviously the idea had potential coming on how we price our product, what we offer, how the business works. So I had a solid business plan. That's why my dad decided to collaborate with me on it. And honestly speaking, if I didn't have a solid business plan or maybe a good proposition, then trust me, why him? No other father would definitely agree to a dating app. Yeah, I mean, let's just come to the real fact about entrepreneurship in India. As long as you don't have gray hair, nobody's taking you seriously. Okay, so let's just put it out there. Or if you don't have very influential dad figures who can get you into the circles to get funding, it's very difficult to be honest. So if you're a person like when I started out with Flutter, I was 22 years old. And that time, trust me, going with any kind of business idea, even if you have rocket science written on it, nobody's investing in you because you're just somebody जो college से निकला है और एक तो has got a presentation लेके आ गया है. So it's of no value till the time you are probably a graduate from an IIM or an IIT. They are not even going to look at you. So that's why I decided to play very strategic about it, and I decided to go to my dad first because he himself is an engineer and a graduate from IIM Lucknow. So if I collaborate with somebody with that kind of experience, it would be easier for me to at least get into the offices of these investors. So I looked at it that way, and also my dad's got a lot of experience in management, doing corporate structure, governance. So all this thing comes in very handy when you are starting out as a young entrepreneur, because the investors literally look at this one man in your company who has got years of experience in this, and that guy knows that ठीक है, इस पे पैसा डाल रहे तो it's good. At least there's one person who knows the management side of it. So there is a maverick and there is a manager. So that's a good combination. So that is exactly how the thing kind of panned out. And to other people, budding entrepreneurs who are young and who are just starting out, I would say that have mentors in your business. Okay, those who are probably with gray hair. Okay, because that mentorship is not going to harm you as an entrepreneur, but it will definitely open avenues to various investors and other, let's say startup platforms to fund you and to get you investment, which is very needed. But if you walk in as a kid trying to get an investment with even the best deck on earth, Indian investors are not paying for it. I don't know about how things work other places.
Yeah.
Okay, so how has been your experience actually? Like you have raised, like the company's valuation is about 200 crores. You guys have raised bunch of money. Like how was the experience? You are not an IIT grad, but you still had like a shareholder who was, right? So
Yeah.
it helped you, but still you would have faced a lot of issues. What would be things that people should look out for mainly when trying to like go fund their startups? Like let's talk about in the pre-seed stage right now. I think that's like the best thing.
Right. So during first of all, if you're starting out, the first thing you must definitely do is bootstrap. Okay, so you need to bootstrap operations so that you have a proper go-to-market product ready. If your product is ready, then you can start your fundraising journey. And I would say that do not raise funds at idea stages, because then you will be giving out a lot of unnecessary equity in your company, which is probably going to hit you later when you will try to raise higher. Okay, so as a startup founder, the first thing is make a marketable product, which might not be perfect. You don't have to make something which is perfect, but make something which is working. Then you move out, you start you raise your, let's say, seed round. Okay, when you raise your seed round, you need to make sure that you know two things very correctly. One is your go-to-market strategy, so that you can raise the metrics of your particular product to a level where you can raise your next series A round. Second, which you need to know, is how to even come to a particular valuation. So right now, Indian startups and especially unicorns are known for dreaming valuations.
Yeah.
Okay, they dream about valuations on a daily basis, and some literally announce it as well. So let me tell you that these days are coming to an end, and investors have become way smarter than they were.
Yeah, we are in the funding winter, as they say.
Yeah. But the funding winter has come because investors became smarter.
And
So-
again, but like also there was this whole report by Bloom Ventures that India is kind of not seeing that funding winter. People are still investing into startups because
True.
I've seen like, and again it's a funnel that most of the funded
But-
startups are from IITs, IIM. So like,
But it's
Yeah,
still
true.
like less. It's still
Yeah,
less
true.
than last year. Like that data we
There
saw
was
in
a
the
big-
first
yeah,
3 months.
There was a big surge,
Yeah.
and that big surge was because investors and all these, venture capital firms, they started just throwing money, literally sprinkling money on Indian startups, because they were all cashing in on the volume India has. So India, as you know, has 1.5 billion people, out of which there's a total addressable market of around 900 million, which is huge, which is like 3 times of United States, and maybe, I don't know, 16 times of United Kingdom. Okay, so it makes sense that China is, and it's a totalitarian government, and ease of business isn't easy as long as the Chinese party doesn't allow it. India is a democratic setup. It's easier to invest in startups, get returns, exits. So that's why this entire funding surge started. But yes, if you're an entrepreneur starting out, just focus on two things. One is your value proposition. What does your product bring to the table? And the second is definitely the fact that your valuation needs to be correct. Do not just randomly throw skyrocketing, big numbers, huge numbers on the investors. they are just going to listen to you and waste your time.
Because we saw it with Byju's and then many other startups like that who raised ridiculous amounts.
I'm more worried about
And
the ridiculous amounts they have to pay back.
yeah, they have to pay back now, yeah. And they couldn't just live up to that valuation. And just to live up to that valuation, they are in ridiculous amounts of debt, right? So just that
There's a
trap,
There's
you know.
a big thumb rule in business. Whatever, if you're in a product business or a service business, your gross margin needs to be more than 72%. Okay, and worst case, it can be 70%. Okay, if your gross margins are not that high, you don't have a business. Okay, so these companies which are unicorns, I can tell you 9 out of 10 are operating at very low gross margins. So,
But that's the thing, they are like playing that consumer game, right? Like,
they are trying to play a game where they are trying to create demand in the consumers so that the consumers end up ordering or end up buying in larger quantities.
But how far can you go without
Not
unpaid
very far.
retention? Like you
Not
need to
very far,
retain those
because to
people.
cater to larger demand, you need to obviously increase your workforce. If you increase your workforce, you need to pay more on salary
like
bills.
Zomato also became profitable, right? Like in the last quarter, I
Yes.
think that report got
Yeah,
out very much.
their acquisition in
Yeah.
Blinkit, yes.
And also the thing is like the Zomato Pro. So we are Zomato Pro.
And they
also got
Like, I
into
think everyone
events.
in this room is like a pro
Yeah,
user
yeah,
of
I do
some
use
Blinkit or Zomato.
Yeah, and they
or
also got into events like Zomato Land became a huge thing. They got
Yeah.
Post Malone to India and whatnot. So I think that caused the actual major revenue
What
surge.
this is actually doing, this is definitely, it's great. I mean, what they're doing is great, but it is just adding value to their brand. It's not creating business. So as discussed in the earlier episode as well, where there was this small discussion about marketing and branding, Zomato is very good at branding, no doubt about it. But I would say that a lot of people compliment Zomato for their marketing. They aren't actually good at that. They're good at branding, no doubt. They have generated a brand image which is number one, aspirational. Number two, people definitely, yeah, it's funny, it's quirky, it's trendy, it's Gen Z, it's everything. But that's your story. What's your business? Someday they will answer through their balance sheets, which are, anyways, let's move on.
turning out to be good, bro. Let's hope good for them. Again, like these are important
Absolutely,
players for
don't
the
worry,
startup
we will-
ecosystem, bro.
We shall order refreshments after this.
I always wish good for the
And-
unicorns because they are kind of like they represent us on the global map, right? Like if the unicorn scene is only effed up, right? Every freaking person is taking debt and dying eventually. Then that's not like
It
the
is.
brand image that we want for our
Most
country.
of these
right
companies are very debt ridden.
Yeah.
Okay, and I hope that their founders and even the people who are in the management, they definitely have ideas about how they are going to overcome this debt, and they will be able to generate direct
Most
your
of the
your EBITDA
companies.
needs to be positive. Okay,
Yeah.
so your earnings before your taxes and other expenses definitely need to be positive in order to show a roadmap in the future of profitability or of sustainability, basically.
So
You need to
basically
sustain the
what
business.
Byju's was kind of doing was they were counting their revenues without making it, right?
Yeah.
Very
So
true.
if a student took like 60,000 rupees course, they would provide them an EMI and tell a loan or an NBFC that I'll pay the money on their behalf even if they don't pay, and they counted that 60,000 revenue so that they can tell people that
See,
yeah.
actually
And
the
this was like a
accountants
whole
are
mess up.
Yeah,
so
so
I
the-
think like
yeah.
in India people don't even take accounting.
I think the Jugaru mentality has gone too fast. Yeah, the Jugaru mentality has just gone too far.
accountancy in startups is very complicated, to be honest, because during the start you are actually dealing with a deficit. Okay, so you're always in a deficit account, so your accounts are obviously going to not be that glittery. Okay, now coming to the Baiju thing, yeah, they give projected revenues, okay, on their account. So they said that we have sold certain packages and something which we will get money after a certain period, which was more than a year. But they put it under accounts receivable. So technically, if you put it under accounts receivable, that means you have done sale worth
So
of
whatever
some amount.
consulting firm it was, they just were like, bro, freak off, I'm not gonna do your accounts anymore.
Yeah,
and
Deloitte.
it was like an
Yeah.
international firm, like some
Deloitte.
Deloitte.
Yeah.
So Deloitte
was
just
it, yeah.
was like, freak you.
Yeah,
guys.
Deloitte resigned. Yeah, Deloitte resigned.
It was all
and
over
Yeah.
news that
Yeah.
Deloitte resigned.
Right, it was all over the news. It still is. And Deloitte resigned, and they didn't want to sign on the audit papers because of exactly this. There were
Yeah.
millions worth of accounts receivables which had no date on them. So when do we receive?
And most of the people, bro, I know Indians, they don't give a fuck about not paying 60,000 rupees to random ass companies.
Yeah.
Like, especially in tier 2, tier 3 cities, if you're gonna try to pull off credit systems, people are just not gonna pay, bro.
Yeah.
Like, they will be like, free cop,
And
come
it's
to my
it's
house, I'll
yeah.
see what the fuck you can
no,
do.
and it's very difficult because it's very difficult to collect certain amount of money
Yeah.
which is owed to you in India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Even if you're a bank, it's quite difficult.
Yeah.
Banks literally hire collectors who actually do
Yeah.
it on
Like
behalf of
RBI,
them.
RBI would be like, bro, on what basis
Yeah.
you gave them loans, bro?
Yeah.
Like, they make nothing.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's the point. These loans are given on what basis we don't know.
Given because of Baiju's credibility, right? And like again, it just feels like a scam that the founders would have freaking planned, right? And that jugadu mentality that we can do some jugad for everything to be good.
Yeah.
That should really go from Indian businesses.
As startup founders, we should always see jugadu mentality
We
is
even
not
saw what
bad.
happened with Ashleen
It
Grover.
was in the
So
early days,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah.
when you actually scale after like
Yep.
$1 to $2 million. I think you should be really serious. and-
But the thing is that stuff in your early days can also bite you back, like it did in case of Ashleen Grover. So I think just being very careful while
You have to be
moving.
very careful
Yeah.
about your financial spends. Most importantly, you should plan in a way so that your actions are not the reason why there are so many people who will become jobless, lose their jobs, lose livelihood. So I think if you look at these unicorns, we should all take some time and see how much of manpower they lay off in a year. It's very big. So unnecessary hiring and unnecessary firing is a result of poor managerial decisions. That's what I feel.
No, but the problem is like, trust me, if I had a sales team like Baiju's, right, I'd sell to the world, but some different service which is like, I'd not try to sell to freaking like a tier 2 guy having, and at least courses worth 60,000.
Yeah.
Right? The kid is not even going to a good school.
True.
Like,
I mean, that is where their marketing team couldn't identify
Yeah.
an addressable market which would, generate the kind of projections they had. They couldn't tap into a market they were thinking of tapping into, and that's probably the reason
and
why
that's
they
it,
had
they
to.
just created it by giving loans.
Yeah, I mean, they started doing the very basics of marketing we all do. That's A/B testing. They took money. They started testing the product here, there. So that's the thing, I feel that, for marketing teams in any startup, it's very important for them to first understand what an addressable market is and how big the market is.
Yeah, that's very true. And I know like a lot of people, like I have cousins who are like really young, and they took a Byju's subscription when they were during the pandemic. And once the schools were back, the colleges were back, the tuitions were back, they started going there. They just
Definitely,
completely
yeah.
abandoned Byju's.
Yeah, definitely, because going to a school and studying with a bunch of friends and everything, it's an experience, and we have all grown up that way, and why not? So sitting on that tab and studying at a particular time, definitely it was a hit because we didn't have options.
And I guess like an educated kid would still prefer going to YouTube rather than Byju's.
Yeah.
Because the content is number one, it's free, and it's
Yeah.
widely available. So
Yeah.
a lot of things. It saves 60,000, as you said.
Yep, that's true because
Okay, so since we have you, I'm gonna change the topic from startups to something that the world wants to know. The dating scene in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. And like, how's the insights? Give us some crazy good
Some
facts
crazy
or
good
insights
insights.
that you have gathered that we, or like
I
the
have
boys
heard- I've heard
who
some
are
really
watching or
bad
the
ones.
girls watching can use to actually get someone or find someone over Fluttr.
Right. See, tier 2 and tier 3 dating scene is probably a very boiled down version of tier 1. So the entire, the concept of one night stands and, just hooking up, which we say, it's not a very common thing in the tier 2 and tier 3. Tier 1, definitely that is the form of dating.
Yeah.
But tier 2 and tier 3, no. What's the biggest problem is that youngsters over there are looking for something more steady, something more committed, something more long term. Okay. So now looking for that, what happens is often these people get pushed into something called arranged marriage. Okay, now they decided that when these apps, dating apps, when they became more accessible, so they thought that, arranged marriage can be an option, but not the only option. Okay, and they started using these apps and started learning that, I too can first interact with a girl or a boy, know them, and probably then decide my future with them. So it became more of these dating apps in tier 2 and tier 3 are more of icebreakers than actually the concept of hooking up which we have in tier 1. So I would say that in tier 2 and tier 3 the youngsters definitely believe in more deeper connections. At least they're searching for that. And I hope that soon, we as a brand or as a product can also enable that for them.
And also like having this, so your startup actually matters a lot on like how our population is gonna be, how our love lives look like, or how relationship looks like. It's like the most important thing in your life, your partner, right? Like that was something like Pradeep Chopra told me. So he's like a director of PS Group. So one fine day, like he was saying this in his lecture that like the most important thing in your life is your partner, because basically you're gonna spend your whole. So like as a dating app founder, what's your opinion on like what should be the future of dating, and like how does it look like in your on like when you look it through your
See, at least with the rising Gen Z culture, which we have, which we see on a daily basis while trying to, ideate campaigns or trying to get features onto our app, is the fact that Gen Z right now treat dating like window shopping in a mall. So, so you go, you check out many stores, and then you buy from one store, right? So, dating can be treated like window shopping, at least in my opinion. And for us, that is Fluttr, we tend to enable this window shopping to be more guided. That's what we are trying to do. So if you go to a mall, yes, I can tell you that, these are the shops which are trendy. These are the shops which have the latest collection, stuff like that. So Fluttr is essentially a search engine for people looking to do this window shopping so that they buy the right product and then live with it for their life. And if not, they just come back to the mall.
Yeah, and get an exchange on it.
Yeah, or return it.
Yeah.
And not exchange.
Yeah.
Okay, that was too dehumanizing. for
Yeah,
me.
that was.
I literally talked about it being the most important aspect of our lives right now. Like,
Yeah.
So, do you think like this is where relationships should be headed, or like?
Well, there are two aspects in life. Okay, one is what I think, and one is what the world
what
is
you
heading
think? Like,
towards.
that's what I'm asking.
So if you ask me, I feel that deeper connections is definitely something which the Gen Z can do with. Okay, because actually what has happened with the advent of short format content, quick web series and everything, our attention span has become very less. Okay, if I go to the generation just before me, they have way more attention span than I would ever. Those are those people जो 50 over के cricket देखते हैं यार. I can't watch anything but T20. I'll be very honest. 50 over.
I don't watch any sports apart from MMA, boxing, because those are like the most fastest things.
And they're like 3 minutes.
I quite answered what I was trying to say. So the attention span and the patience is very higher for the generation just before us. But generation now and beyond, these people are definitely going to be ones who want results but very quick. So deeper connections is definitely good for their health, good for their brain, good for their mind. But one thing it is not good for is that they have to be very patient. That thing won't come to you very fast. So like even if you compare entrepreneurship, I think your first idea cannot definitely be the idea, right?
So you're basically saying that Gen Z would prefer swiping rather than going and meeting someone first.
Just going to a particular place and staying there for the rest of their life. They would not want to do that.
Yeah, they want
Correct. So they want to see, maybe let's say it's like, as I told you, let's say it's like house hunting. You look for 5 houses and then one house is definitely going to be the one house you want to stay in.
Right. So basically, they just do an A/B testing for a bunch of people, swipe on them, and just see what works.
And to an extent, scientifically, I think it's correct, because the human brain can't make a decision in one go, and the decision can't be based on just few options you have in front of you. Not even few. I mean one. Can't be that way, na. So you need to see the world more, experience more. Experience make it a man. So.
Okay, from this shit, like I remember one thing, that's Flutter Hearts. Okay, so now you're gonna also give us more insights about relationship psychology, or like how things are going on there. Like you guys have like launched a new.
Right. So we saw that a lot of people in tier 2 and tier 3 markets, at least these youngsters, they want to be on dating apps, they want to be more conversant, but they don't have that level of confidence to be there and like reach out to a girl. Okay, and that leads to a lot of anxiety they do suffer from. Okay, and they are also, since they come from very humble backgrounds, so they don't want to share their anxiety with the world, because it'll make them look very weak and very people like which they very demeaning things, people say pagla. Okay, so the point is, we don't want people to be considered pagla, and stuff like that. So we gave them a safe space, and we have created this service where they can come and talk about any problems they are having in terms of being more expressive, in terms of how to even interact with a girl on let's say a digital platform, what to write, what to type.
It's some solid relationship consultancy.
Yeah, solid. Yeah. So that they too are more exposed to this new and very fast growing online dating space. So this acts not only to solve your personal problems in terms of relationships, but also it could be a nice way of you knowing other ways of expressing yourself, in the right way of doing it. A lot of times dating apps have got this bad feedback that people, boys on these dating apps don't know how to talk. So things like that. It's just
So are you guys like also focusing on like the LGBTQ plus side of
yeah,
things?
definitely. As we are a very inclusive dating app, so we already have tried to incorporate as many identities as possible onto our platform, and we keep doing more gender studies to understand where and what are also normal these days. Okay, and by normal I mean as normal as me, you, anyone. Okay, so we keep doing that, and to your surprise, or to many people's surprise, when we go and say that approximately 12% of our matches daily are from the community, the LGBTQ plus community. So they are either it's a lesbian match or a gay match. So they are not exactly the top typical heterosexual cis match.
So on like Flutter hard side of things, have you gotten like anyone coming conversing about their issues of coming out, or like have you seen
Well, we just launched the product a couple of days back, so as of now the number of sessions are definitely low. But yeah, I mean,
or like any user experience from Flutter, anyone you talked to, or anyone who had conversed with you or the team?
Yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of people, from our team reaching out to this focus groups we create, and we invite them to our office as well, and we do this, small research about what they would want to see on our app. So we do this weekly, and the group changes. It's not the same people who come on a daily, a weekly basis. So they come, they talk to us, we talk to them, and they suggested that we also start a service where we can, go beyond just swiping. So this is our first step, going beyond, and obviously as an organization we are thinking of going beyond even this, and trying to create an entire ecosystem which revolves around Gen Z romance and love.
There should be a kids name generator inbuilt.
Very good. We'll take
For
care.
future. And also one more thing that you recently mentioned to us, which was very exciting, was that you were planning on having some Flutter cafes, which would be like a dating spot for these people, which you are also starting out very soon. You're planning on it. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what's the thought behind it, and how do you even plan on starting it? Because it's been online up till now, but now that Flutter is going offline, because we have never seen dating apps go offline before, so this would be the first time. So yeah, so tell us.
There's a competitor, right?
Yeah.
There's a competitor somewhere.
There's a competitor
My name
everywhere.
is shit, so I don't remember it. I'm sorry, guys.
Who is this person?
Whoever. Like there is some
Could
brand.
be.
Like I don't.
Yeah.
We are also not aware of it yet.
But nonetheless,
But yeah, nonetheless,
what's the idea behind it, and
see, we want people on our app to actually enjoy and ecosystem. The your experience shouldn't just be limited to swiping and browsing on the internet. So we wanted people to be more interactive with each other, because as rightly said, that we are looking for people to at least try and have deeper connections. So I think texting on dating apps can only take you to a certain level. But then what is the next step? That is going on a date, right? You need to go on a date with a person to actually even know a bit more than what you just knew after texting. So we want to make a safe space for somebody to take their date out and enjoy some coffee, some snacks and everything. It's a themed cafe, and with Gen Z's, cafe is the thing. So Gen Z's love cafe, and most of the the entire sit and eat culture of these restaurants which we had in the previous generation would definitely die out slowly. So that's why we want to take the cafe business and take it to the people, so that they also come here, enjoy their date. And since we are a dating company, they would know that obviously this cafe is safe for dating. That's the
And I think that would also make like women in the app feel a little bit more secure when it comes to
Definitely,
meeting
yeah.
somebody.
At least they know that
You
they're
have
good there.
like good as bouncers and people who can just throw
Absolutely,
cards out
yeah.
and they do some bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. Always safety is first. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that a thing. But moving on from that, do you think that meeting offline is a very essential part of dating in India? Because I have heard stories where people have just met online, live in like two across parts of the world, and then they ended up dating and their relationship worked out. I've heard that. But in other countries, but India, since we have a different sort of culture here, do you think meeting offline is
feel
something
that
that's
at
important?
least At present, it's very important to meet the person at least once offline.
Bro, how would you have sex if you don't meet the person offline? Then what
Arey,
is the essence
no,
of
just to get
fucking
started.
meeting?
Like, this is just dating. Like, you just met someone.
No,
Can you date someone without
that's
being
okay,
them?
like, but I'm
Or,
telling
offline.
Why meeting offline is very important, bro.
Absolutely.
You have to do some shit. Like,
Yeah. To do some shit, you
Yeah.
need
at
to
least
meet
kiss,
offline.
bro, if you are, like,
But can
underage.
you start dating just without meeting offline? Like in India, have you seen any
Well,
examples
see,
of people like that?
see, there are stories. See, but they are a very small percentage of the entire mass. Okay,
Yeah.
because in India there's this big problem as well. What we try to address through Fluttr is the entire concept of having fake profiles on dating apps. Okay, so the amount of catfish profiles are very high. There are too many fakes on the internet. So it's better for anybody to at least meet offline and verify whether they
Yeah,
are
that's true.
what they are. So that is important, at least in my opinion.
And like this is very critical also. So you guys have to do a lot of security management on the
Yeah,
back
that's
end
why-
and constantly review
That's why
data.
that's why if we look at our entire acquisition, it would be way more than 500,000. But then we had to remove around 100 and 150,000 profiles, because at the start, a lot of fake profiles came in, and we literally have two people sitting in our office who scan the entire community on a daily basis, so that we can remove accounts which are like total fake.
Right.
Like, could have pictures of celebrities, could have pictures of some nudity,
I think
and
my
stuff like that.
profile would have got deleted. I had made a profile with a random stock image as a girl.
Yeah, then it
I
would be.
I had also made a random profile with a cat photo.
Yeah, these profiles. So these random profiles have to be removed.
I'm so sorry for that. I'm so sorry for that.
See, I just wanna like maintain my streak of not being on any dating
Yeah.
platform. With
Yeah,
my
truly,
name
yeah.
and shit, so that's why.
Yeah, that's fine. No issues. I think
Yeah,
it
so
would have been
basically
removed.
we did test out the app, and actually like when we tested it out like 6 months ago
I like
versus
the
now.
astrology shit the most.
Yeah, the astrology shit is the best. I love that. It
Because
just
I'm like into it, so it's like
Totally.
cool.
so I go to Snapchat and I like check it with random people because Snapchat introduced it long
Yeah,
back
yeah.
as well. But yours one is just way more detailed. Like it just
Yeah.
gives you everything.
Actually, we had certain astro consultants come in, and these are astrologers who work not actually in the field of astrology. They work in this thing called numerology. So it's more math.
Right.
Okay, so our thing is more math and algo driven than just about, it's just not horoscope basically. Okay, so horoscope has got a lot of lot of things which are subjective in it. Okay, but this is very objective, because after all, what is Flutter? It's a machine.
Yeah.
Okay, so the machine works, as you know, on 0 and 1. So your accuracy has to be spot on, and I think math is the right way to go. We did take certain principles from the alignment of stars, the alignment of planets, and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is more math. So.
Yeah, it was actually that. And apart from that, one more thing is that when you are talking about a startup like Fluttr, it has a lot of security factors built into it, because you have a lot of data, you have people's dating data. And there was this entire documentary which I had seen, and there was this French woman from who actually made an account in Tinder France. And she made an account in Tinder France, and she's been using Tinder for 2 years. But then she got to know that Tinder collects very specific sensitive data, and that data is not safe. So she constantly badgered Tinder and continuously mailed them. So they send her a 800-page document of the data, of her data, her dating life, her conversations, everything was there, every connection she made, all of that. It was an 800-page document. So that's like a lot of data that's being collected, and because of which a lot of women don't feel safe. But I've seen that that's not the same case with Fluttr, and we had this conversation previously. So how do you make sure that particular thing does not happen to you, or your audience does not feel that unsafe that they would?
Backend engineer, that's why I always feel putting my personal details into anything, because I know, bro, some backend engineer can fucking see this shit, whatever I'm putting.
Right, but as far as we are concerned, our backend engineers were very, very particular about exactly one thing, that is whenever you do input any data on our app, that directly gets 256 encrypted. So we don't even get a chance to see your data in a decrypted version. It's not possible. Okay, it's so difficult that honestly, if I would have to spend that much money to do that, it would cost me and my company a lot of money. Okay, so your data is definitely safe. And more importantly, we do not also share data with any advertiser.
Yeah.
We do not run ads on our platform. So your data is much more safer than Tinder.
Right. And now one final thing I would like to talk about, that is the core of Fluttr, which is the microtransactions.
Right.
So we need to discuss that, because we cannot move forward to anything without discussing microtransactions, because we see that Bumble, Tinder, all these companies, they're foreign companies who have started their operations in India, and we don't have per se any Indian company. We have Quack and Truly Madly and God knows what weird apps. Yeah, these are real apps, okay? Quack and Truly Madly. Yeah. And these apps are there, but they couldn't get to as many users as actually Fluttr has. Maybe Truly Madly did, but it's still not.
They have a strong user base, but I think what you
Yeah.
guys are getting at is paying users.
Paying users, right?
Okay,
When
so-
it comes to paying users, that's what I actually meant. But when it comes to paying users, they don't have that many paying users. But you guys have actually had a maximum percentage of users paying, and that's because of microtransactions. This has worked out in India.
No one crazy inside. What's like the percentage between a male paying and a female paying, or like someone
Yeah.
from the LGBT?
Yeah, okay, that's an exciting question. That's an exciting question. I would want to know that. as
Very
well.
valid question. So 92% males pay.
92%. Okay.
Sheesh, boys.
Oh god.
Yeah.
That's
So
bad.
let's just put it out there. That's not only for it's not for Flutter in specific, but it's a very generic data. And if you go across any dating app, that is how the numbers look like. The paying percentage of male users is definitely higher. Okay, and women paying users are less. And as far as LGBT community is concerned, they too pay. So that's not an issue. But women, I mean, absolutely straight women, no.
They will not
Very
pay, yeah.
because see, ideally women have around the moment they open an account, within hours they have 200 to 300 likes already. What would they pay for?
Yeah. Well, men have to pay because they want to continuously swipe, because they're like, okay,
So,
if I select
exactly.
1,001, I would definitely get.
Right, so the odds of being a man on a dating app and getting a match are much higher than being a woman and choosing your match. As a woman you get to choose, as a man you if you are chosen or not.
Whatever the fuck you get.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Men get more connections as well when it comes to that, because women don't swipe
No,
very
my whole
often.
shit, why I don't use, like, I don't know how can someone judge me by looking at my 5 photos and reading something about me.
Yeah,
Like, bro, at
exactly.
least meet me, chill out with me, or let me converse with you. After that only, like, but like things worked out for me over Instagram and real life. I was not shy. I was anxious about talking to anyone,
Right.
but not girls.
Right, so Instagram helps you because Instagram is taking you one particular segment higher, because you are sharing certain content from your day-to-day life over there. So for me to understand what you are, I would have more data on you than a dating app, because I know that today Ratan's added a story which shows him going to this particular restaurant, or he has added a story that he has he has pets. So things like that, I would get to know more about you than a dating app. So that is why I think the future of dating apps are when they start embracing the entire theory of content, content creation. Okay, so your profiles need to be more content rich, so that it is easier for a person browsing through your profile to know a bit more than you, than, as Ratan said, just 5 photos.
Right. But what my question was that how did you think about just starting with microtransactions instead of what basically was the norm?
I got the idea from from Hotstar, I guess. Okay, because what was happening with Hotstar is so what was happening with Hotstar is that they were the first in the market to come up with this mind-blowing idea that you can watch any content for free. But the moment you start watching for free, they are going to feed in ads at certain points of the content. And when the data came out, you would see that around 70 to 60% of the users watching that content are watching it for free. So they don't mind watching ads, but they do mind paying 999 rupees for a yearly subscription of this particular platform. Okay, now let us cut to our dating app. So in dating app, whenever if it's Tinder or Bumble, even they are charging a subscription. Okay, it could be a quarterly subscription, it could be a half yearly or an annual subscription based on how much money you can shell out. And the figures, the cost is very high. Okay, now you come to the mass market India, nobody is going to be spending 600 rupees of their hard earned money on something which they are unsure of. Okay, on dating app, giving 600 rupees, you are not sure that you are going to get definite returns worth 600 rupees. But on Netflix, if you pay 600 rupees,
so how does the return even look like?
Right, there are returns. The returns is actually the calculation of the match you get. Okay, the number of matches you get, and out of which, if there is a successful bonding, that is a return. So a success story is your return. And as far as Netflix is concerned, you are ready to pay 600 rupees because it's fine. You know the content library you are paying for. It's a big library, you're paying for a huge library, and you know that I'm giving 600 rupees, I am getting such a big content library to watch from. And they keep adding new things. So that's the thing. In dating apps also, you are getting new profiles, everything is fine, everything is similar. But what you're not sure about is that you will get a match, and that match will probably,
will work out.
Yeah, will work out maybe. So we came up with the idea of microtransactions from there, and we thought that, technically that means dating apps is gambling. So if you're gambling, we just reduce the cost. So we just reduce the cost, your table entry fee basically.
Yeah.
We reduce that, and so we have a lot of gamblers.
So basically, you're not forcing people to buy for 10 tables, you're forcing them to buy for just one.
Yeah, of course, as much as he can buy for.
Yeah, right.
If he just wants to buy a boost, fair enough, you just buy a boost. If you feel that you want to just unlock 3 more profiles on your top picks, cool, that is your necessity, you pay for that. I'm not telling you that मेरे को तू 600 रुपया दे, मैं तेरे को दुनिया भर का गार्बेज लाके दूंगा और उसमें से तुम यूज करोगे 2.
Yeah.
And फिर उसके बाद कभी आओगे ही नहीं.
Right.
So I don't want that to happen. I want that person to come and say that today I've come to this shop, I want mayonnaise. Tomorrow I've come to this shop, I want butter. But what he wants, he will get it. That's the point.
And he'll pay for only what he wants.
And he will pay on his own willingness.
Yeah. And only for what he wants.
Of course.
He just wants some
Okay, we really need to stop with Makhana in every of our episodes. This episode has become Makhana episode.
Okay, so from Makhana always comes when the podcast is about to end.
Yeah.
Right. So we shall all now order Makhana on Zomato.
Yeah, on Blinkit.
Or Blinkit.
Yeah. Okay, the ending question, Anirban.
Yeah.
The final one. What you would say to someone from 20 to 25-year-old bracket to actually what they should do if they have no money and not a good family member to support with starting up. Second, if they have some money to start up and some friends who are there. And third, a loner, a solo entrepreneur, what would you suggest these from age group 20
so let's say 20 to 25-year-old who has somebody to help him out or help her out. I think they should take help from the person they feel can help them, and slowly, start slow, start small. Okay, don't dream very big at the start. Okay, but make sure that your dream, whatever you're dreaming, you achieve that. that is for somebody who has help. Now coming to some person who doesn't have help, doesn't have money, doesn't come from very connected backgrounds, for that person I would say that, you know, ideally it would be good for him or her to first start working with some other startup, understand how startup economics and how startup operations work, and then once he or she has garnered a certain level of experience, then venture out on their own venture. And by that time, obviously, you know, working with startups, you start developing a brain. Yeah, you start developing a brain also to figure out what can be an idea and what is not an idea. So that's something for that person. And for a lone wolf and loner and solo guy, I would say that he should first start venturing and making a bit more contacts. Okay, and then
You need a mentor. Like,
yeah, of course. That mentor can come in any form. It can be a family member, it can be somebody professionally acquainted to you. But a mentor is important because, see, it's not always possible for one person to know everything and to make the right decisions every
Yeah.
time. It's not possible.
just getting that.
But to
second
maybe make
opinion.
lesser number of wrong decisions, a
Yeah.
mentor would be a good idea.
Yeah, just the second opinion that, you know, should you do this? Because we as Gen Zs like tend to be really
We
impulsive.
might, and energized entrepreneurs always think that whatever is in their head is the right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And also they have a problem with a lot of
Okay, on
things.
this point, if you leave Nanika talking in front of a camera and a mic for 24 hours, she'll
Right,
just
this
stop.
podcast is slowly going to be converted
Okay.
to Makhana advertisement. So,
Okay.
everybody get your Makhana and
And also
Enjoy
find
the
a
evening.
find a partner at Fluttr.
to enjoy the Makhana with.
Yeah, to enjoy the makhana with. Okay, thank you guys.
Bye-bye,
Watching
thank
this
you.
podcast. If you don't have any makhana, link some good makhana company.
And please order from Zomato, they need help.
And also Blinkit.
Yeah, blink it. Yeah,
Blink
whatever.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really need help. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.
This podcast. If you don't have any makhana, link some good makhana company.
And please order from Zomato, they need help.
And also Blinkit.
Yeah, blink it. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they really need help. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.